Let's quickly see what a factory function is doing. So every function has a prototype object built into it. We are attaching, I'm using the word attaching because it's most easy to visualize. So we are attaching a method called dial to the prototype object of this function. We are creating an object, returning an object. We are making sure to establish this prototype chain between this object and this object. Okay. Please make sure that you understand what I just said. You may pause the video and make sure that you understand what I just said. So what this factory function is essentially doing is it's creating an object and it's returning an object. Every function has a prototype object. We are attaching this dial method to it. Line 11, what it's doing is it's creating a chain, a prototype chain between this object that we created and this object which is already there inside of every function, which is inside of especially iPhone 1. Okay. Now, friends, whenever we use the new keyword, so it is the exact same function, right? We are not making much changes to the function body, but whenever we use and let's check if everything is working as expected. So if I check I1 object, I have my iPhone object, and can it dial a number? Yes, it can dial a number. We can see tring tring, right? So now if I just use the new keyword here, something really magical happens. JavaScript, first of all, we don't need to create an empty object. We don't need to return an empty object. JavaScript automatically creates this object for us, which at this point in time is an empty object, auto created. We have an automatic object called this. Here we named it object. JavaScript names it this. Think of it that way. And JavaScript returns this for us. So we don't have to create an empty object. That's already there. JavaScript returns it for us. This is the second thing that JavaScript does. The first thing, this is the second thing. Okay. Now, here we were attaching these properties, generation and color, to this object that we created. But now, since we have this keyword, we can use this keyword here. So through this object that JavaScript creates for us, why? Because of the new keyword, we have an object to which we can attach generation and color. Make sense? The third thing that JavaScript does for us is it creates this prototype chain between this and the function's prototype object. So this prototype chain is also created for us, so we don't need this. Okay, so three things JavaScript did for us. It created an empty object called this, created a prototype chain between this and this function's prototype object, and it returned this for us. So we can get rid of these 3 lines of code, and let's make sure that it works. So if I check I1, do you see an iPhone? If you do something like I1 dot dial, are you able to dial it? Why? Because JavaScript created this empty object called this. We could use this to attach different methods or properties to it. it was returned automatically for us. So this function, when invoked with new keyword, returns this object, newly created object for us, plus the prototype chain between this function's prototype object and the this object was created automatically for us. These three things were done for us by JavaScript. Okay. You may want to, pause the video and see how we can refactor rest of the code. So let me uncomment it. So here, after line number 28, so here again, since we are planning to invoke it with the new keyword, new keyword, since we are planning to, so JavaScript will be creating the empty object this for us. So this object will be created by JavaScript, This object will be returned. This will be returned by JavaScript. Why? Because of this new keyword, right? The way we are invoking the function. Okay. And instead of attaching Bluetooth type to object, we can attach it to this object, which is created by JavaScript. Now, how do we, perform this line of code here? Again, this line will also be handled by the new keyword. The only tricky part here is this thing. So we need a way by which when we call, by which somehow, we can attach these properties which iPhone 1 is attaching to this object to this object which was created by JavaScript for us. Okay. And we will be looking this in the next class. Okay. Rest everything is the same for constructor function. The only thing difference is going to be the trick with which you can attach all of these properties which this function is trying to attach to its own this object to the new independent this object that iPhone 2 has here inside of the function body. We will see it in tomorrow's live class or today's live class.